Okay, so welcome to tonight's team call. I am Corey Mayo, the founder and CEO of Team Living Healthy and Fit. Tonight, I'm super excited for our guest speaker. We have Dovel on our call, and Anne is like our great grandmother in the network. And she has been in the business for 11 years. She is a 6-star diamond, and she's also a part of the Million Club. Anne is incredibly sweet. She is always there for our team, and so if you ever have questions, you can always reach out to her. She is, if you've heard me talk on a team call, and I was talking about like starting conversations and how that used to really overwhelm me, and I just didn't think that this business was for me because I didn't like starting those new conversations, and it was really scary. Anne is actually the one that she had said, it will become fun. You will actually learn to enjoy it when you play with it and you start to do it more often. And that has always resonated with me, and it's something I think of often because as you do it, it is fun. It's fun to start conversations in line at the supermarket and to play with people and just kind of build that relationship and have fun and not just sit there and look at your phone all the time. So I always remember that from having a conversation with you, Anne, when you were kind of helping me when I was just getting started in the trenches. And I really appreciate you. You're always there when we need you, and you're a great friend. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Miss Anne and let her share about building your story and sharing your story, and then we'll kind of open it up for questions from there.
Well, hey everybody. Thanks, Corey. That was I listen to these intros and I think, oh, that can't be me. But and I also look at the Zoom picture and I think, wow, this is like my mom. I mean, I'm just my mom, all the way to the baggy sweatshirt. Note about the sweatshirt, because you'll probably see it a lot during the winter time. My boys were in 4-H and tie-dyed, and I had a white sweatshirt, and so I used up the rest of the dye. So that's about 14 years ago. And people who know my sweatshirt, it's like somebody just responded the other day, oh, the t-shirt still lives, sweatshirt still lives. Yes, I wear it all the time in the winter. So anyway, a little bit about, just a tiny bit about my story, because I really want to hear your stories, and if possible, help you pull out your story if you want to help pulling out your story and what to say. I always refer to speaking to people like out and about, but this applies online as well. It's just easier to talk about, when you're in the store, but you can also apply it to if somebody messages you. But I started my Team Beachbody business 11 years ago, right after the launch. Dave and I had been in a lot of network marketing companies in the first 16 years of our marriage, and at about the 16th year, we decided we're not cut out for this. We'd only invested a ton of money and never made any money. And every year at tax time, which I'm in again, it was tremendously stressful because I had to go through all the receipts and realize how many tens of thousands we'd invested and not made anything that year. And we hadn't activated on what we knew to do. And so we just kind of figured, well, we got to stop this foolishness. We aren't cut out for this. We aren't cut out for business, even though we truly believed in the profession of network marketing, and we believed in the companies. And we were in a really good company. It's not like it's still around. It's still growing. So it wasn't the company that was at fault. We just didn't do it. And so then when this came along, I'd had already success with the Beachbody programs, including P90X, and I'd been on the P90X infomercial. And my sponsor was our minister at church, one of the assistant ministers, and he'd had really good results with Power 90 back when there were 5 people in the Beachbody offices. In fact, back when Carl answered the phone. And he's the one who got me to try P90X, and he's the one who got me to submit my pictures. And then I ended up on the infomercial. So that's the little bit of the short part of it. And then when they decided to open up the coaching opportunity, Carl called my sponsor, Doug, because they had a relationship. They needed somebody in the middle of the country, and he asked Doug if he would come help start that, and then Doug sponsored me. And And when I went to look at it, I told him, we weren't going to do, Dave and I had already decided we were never going to do network marketing again, even though we loved it. And it just always kind of made me feel like, oh, like I just like you do when you give up on something, And so, but then when he showed it to us, I thought, well, I'm already kind of doing this. I've been doing it for years, because anytime I'd had so many great results with Power 90 and then with P90X, and anytime somebody would ask me what I do, they'd go to Beachbody and buy the program. And so I figured, well, what the heck? I'm not going to lose anything by sending people to my website, and maybe I can make a little extra grocery money. So then we joined, and we were just so excited because we really love Beachbody. We really love the fact that everything worked. I didn't, when somebody would ask me what I had done to lose weight and get in shape, and they ordered the program, it was usually 3 or 4 months later when I'd run into them and they'd say, look, I did what you said, and look at the results I got. And, oh, wow, it's amazing, isn't it? So we were just excited, and we shared our story. And then I got on a call with Milan and learned how to share a story better with somebody that I didn't know, because we can go on and on with our best friend, right? But Milan taught me how to have a conversation with somebody new to me in a store or standing in line, or because our business was built, we didn't do Facebook. In fact, I don't even know if Facebook was around 11 years ago. Was it? It might have been, but it was really just the teens that were on it, the college kids. And that's how we built our business. I learned how to play with people out in the store, and it was scary because I didn't talk to people I didn't know. I would have never gotten on a call like this where you could see each other. And that's silly because, what's going to happen? It's all these fears in your head. So Kevin taught me how to talk to people in the store, and it's just being aware and breaking the ice, and having no attachment to the outcome of the conversation. I just simply went and practiced talking to people. And it didn't matter. I didn't care if it led around to my business. In fact, I hoped it didn't, because I was too afraid to then talk about that part. So I would just go and practice saying hi and finding something of interest to talk about with them. And it got to be one of these things where it became so much fun. And I ended up with friends everywhere. And then, because Walmart's where we shop all the time, right? We live in a little town, there's a Walmart. And we'd stop by after church, and I'd tell the guys, my family, I have all boys, I'd say, hey, I'll be just 5 minutes. And they would just laugh, and they'd set the timer, because I said, no, I can make it through in 5 minutes. It's not that I'm a slow shopper, but I had made so many friends, and they'd see me coming. And when you're friendly to people, and especially in a job like that, or people that shop in the same place, they look for you. And in fact, we had one kid who's a college student, worked at Walmart, ended up coming to our family Easter dinner 2 years in a row, and we picked him up just from playing with people at Walmart. So anyway, that's that. And I encourage you to learn to tell your story so that you can tell it online and offline. And one of the principles that you want to do when you're telling your story is tell just a little bit. Not like what I just did. I kind of threw up on you the first part of my story. I didn't even tell you, that we retired after 18 months and that kind of stuff, which can be for another time. But I want to hear your stories. One of the things I hear a lot from coaches is, well, I don't really have a story. That's, they've been fit. Say they've been fit in college. I don't really have a story. Well, yes, you do. That's part of your story. I'm a brand new coach with Beachbody. I don't really have a story. Well, yes, you're living and breathing. You have a story. And what you want, online and offline, is for people to chase you down. Would you agree? We are not hunters. We are fishing, right? And so does anybody want to be brave and just kind of tell it doesn't have to be your 3-sentence story, but do you want to tell a story and get some feedback on it? I'm not really scary. Look at me. I'm in a sweatshirt, tie-dye. and I'm still in my pajama bottoms. Full disclosure. But they're not technically pajama bottoms. They're linen pants that I wear for pajamas. How's that? So who wants to go? Just tell me before Beachbody what brought you to Beachbody and what you've experienced so far. Or tell us all.
Or Corey, do you want to go?
No, go ahead, honey. I was just going to say,
Okay.
does anybody want to go? And if anybody didn't, then I was going to go, but go ahead.
Okay. So my upline is April, and I've been a coach for 2.5 years, and I'd had an eating disorder from about the time I was 19, 20, and I had done it's kind of like your stereotypical coach story. I'd done every diet, I tried everything, nothing worked. And I was in this phase where I would sit on the couch on my iPad and scroll Pinterest and look at fit skinny girls. And I would scroll through Facebook, and anybody that looked like they were into fitness or had a fitness page, I would follow them while I was eating cookies and chips and ice cream. And I somehow came across April's post that was on her business page, and it said April McDonald, health and fitness or something. So instantly I started following her. It was actually something that a mutual friend had liked. So it, for some reason, showed up on my newsfeed. And I stalked her for months. And she was basically living the life that I wanted, because she had had an eating disorder. She had been depressed. She had been miserable. She was now quitting her full-time job to coach full-time. She was going to be a stay-at-home dog mom, which I was a dog mom too. I hated my job. I hated going to work. And I reached out to her originally for the 21-day fix, because I thought it was a quick fix. And then we got to the part where I had to pay for it, and I freaked out and backed out. And I did that 3 more times. So I would text her and be like, okay, I'm ready this time. And then she'd be like, okay, well, here's the website. You just put your credit card information in. And then I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I'm actually ready. I can't afford that. Even though I'd spent 5 times that much on diet pills and little sliders that are going to give you abs in 6 weeks. But then something just snapped one day. I was having a horrible day, and I was like, you know what? There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. I'll just return it. I know it's not going to work. I'll just try it and then return it. So I called her and said, I have my credit card. Let's do this right now before I back out again. And I actually joined for the business opportunity because I wanted to be a stay-at-home dog mom. And I was working part-time. I was able to quit my job after 2 months because I replaced my part-time income. And then it's actually kind of gone downhill since then. And then this spring, actually on my way to Punta Cana, my long-term boyfriend broke up with me via text. And my summer just plummeted. My business, I didn't want to do Beachbody. I wasn't working out. I wasn't drinking my shake. I kind of lost my whole identity, because I went from being the stay-at-home girlfriend and the dog mom, and I was really fit, to I have no idea what I'm doing with my life now. So it's now January. I'm just starting to get back into it, but my story's kind of all over the place.
Okay, it's okay. Just writing down some notes. So when you said, so let's just play a little bit, because you may or may not decide to share this when you're going in a store. But it's always fun to think about, and the reason I ask this is because then it prompts you to think a little deeper into your story. If somebody came up to you in the store and they remembered you having an eating disorder, and they say, hey, Danielle, you look really good. What are you doing? What would you tell them? Or if they said something about must be nice that you can stay home with your dogs.
Yeah. That's the part where I get hung up.
Does anybody ever say that? Number one.
Not really.
Okay.
And then the other thing too is I've been a full-time coach for so long, and then I pretty much stopped working the business. So my team is disappeared. So I'm not making any money with it now. So I'm going back to work full-time. And now I feel like a giant hypocrite because for the last 2 years, I've been talking about being like a stay-at-home girl boss and all this stuff. And now I'm going back to work.
Okay, just hold on. Hang on there. Okay, so do you think, Danielle, do you think this has ever happened to anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact that you're going through it, do you think this could become a powerful part of your story that lets other people know it's okay?
Yeah.
That it's not, you don't have to be Miss Perfect Beach Body all the time in order to be a coach. If you think about all the occupations out there, from doctors, think about a football coach. How many football coaches do you know who could run the length of a field without getting winded? You know, and they're coaching their players to do it. So are they a hypocrite? No, they're hired as a coach. They're a coach. They're teaching from what? Their experience. The great thing about having this kind of thing is that you can then relate. You can relate to more people now. And when you're feeling those doubts, a good question to ask yourself is, what's good about this? What's good about this experience right now? Sure, you'll lose your team if you quit working. That's unless you've got some some strong builders who just go on without you. What gets you to a certain point never keeps you there, right? So what can you learn from that going forward, and what's good about it? What's good about it? Can you think of anything that's just a question that I ask myself when I'm going through something? Well, what's good about this? What can I learn from this? Just like I'm in this tax mess again. Tax mess being I kept up on it for 4 months, and then I didn't keep up, and so now I've got to go through all my accounts. Instead of my dream last year was to come up on December 31st, push a button on QuickBooks, and my accountant would have it all, and woo, everything be just great. I wouldn't have to go through this again, right? So what's right about it? I'm setting a goal. Again, I've gotten help to help me get over this mindset of why I don't keep up with it. I mean, I'm good at other things. Why don't I keep up with it? So there's a lot of good things about it, a lot of good things I'm learning. So what's right? What's right about you? What's right about your story and what you're experiencing right now? That's a good question to reflect on. And it's not a hypocrite.
And I've had a lot of people message me in like the last week since I've kind of been posting again, and I posted like I fell off the wagon and ran over it several hundred times, and like people can relate to that, so I know that it's good. And I've had so many people that are like, yeah, I need to get back into it too, like it's happened to me. So I know that I'm just not good at sharing that on social media.
Okay, so how do you think does anybody have any suggestions?
Are you afraid of what the response will be, or are you just kind of fearful of being vulnerable?
I think it's both. And part of it's like, if I post about the going back to work, are people going to think this business doesn't actually work? And am I going to have trouble signing coaches? Because it's like, oh, it's obviously not working for her. I don't want to do it. But I need coaches to build.
Right.
That's kind of my big issue right now.
So one of the things, what you put out there is what you attract, right? So if when you are making your posts, or when you're talking live, or if you're in the store, if you believe that you don't have credibility, that will come across to somebody, right? Being vulnerable and real means, this is where I was in my life, and I let my business go. And as you know, if you let your business go, it doesn't keep growing. But here's what I found out. I missed the community. I missed, list. What do you miss? What did you miss about it? What brought you back to it? What brought you back to it that's going to resonate with the people that you're trying to attract? Because obviously you're having those conversations. And when somebody says, well, one of the phrases I use a lot when somebody says, well, you don't understand, whatever. I lost all my coaches. A very good phrase to remember is, funny you should say that. This was the size of my business, and I lost track of it because of these things. I let these things in my life control me, and but here's what I know. I love being a Beachbody coach. I attracted people before. I helped people be successful, and I'm going to do it again. Just be confident in that. Be confident. It's no different than somebody coming to it for the first time, right?
Right.
Right. You're just coming back to it, and you're going to attract a whole new set of people. So be confident in that. Be confident in your passion and in your story. So, and you don't even have to bring that up, really, initially. Now, if one of your old coaches comes to you and says, hey, I thought you, and then you can say, yeah, funny thing. This, just quickly, this happened to me, and I let it get to me. And I didn't keep track of my business. So, but the eating disorder, how many, I don't even know what statistics are on young women and men with eating disorders. I know I've had several in my team with eating disorders. And how Beachbody helped them come out of that and taught them how to eat healthier, or taught them how to eat and exercise, that was healthy for their bodies. So I love your story about stalking April. I would have too. She's so cute. I stalk her baby pictures all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what a doll. So if somebody asks you that now, be a new coach. You're starting over, right? It's fresh. Forget about the other stuff and start fresh. Most people aren't going to know.
Yeah, that's true.
Most people
That's very true.
And those that do, then you have an opportunity to teach them from your experience. And most people who are coaches are working part-time or full-time jobs. So that's not weird either. They start there. And it also gives you an opportunity to meet more people.
That's exactly what April said.
Yeah, you're going to meet more people, and sometimes the busiest people get it done faster.
And honestly, that's what I need, because now I have way too much time, so I do nothing because I have all day. When I'm working full time and I only have a short window and I have to get my vitals done in pockets, I'm going to get it done. Mm-hmm. Like, that's one thing I found. I almost have to work because I have to have the structure and I have to have the time restraint. Because now I'm like, oh, I have all day to send my invites, and it's 10 o'clock at night and I have not done anything on my tracker because I had all day.
Yeah, it's just it's an urgency type of thing. When you get to that point again, let me know, and we'll talk through how to make the most of a day when you're home all the time.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you want to work on that story and refine it ever in the future, because you can certainly call me or set up.
Okay, thank you.
Who's next, Katie or Amanda? Oh, Amanda raised her hands.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know about that.
Wait, where'd she go?
There she is.
I'm here.
Okay, what's your short story, Amanda? Before Beachbody, why Beachbody, and now?
Okay. I'm going to back all the way up. I come from a family of addicts, a lot of addiction in my extended family. My dad is a recovering alcoholic. Add to that, my mom is overweight, has always been overweight, and had a lot of very bad self-esteem issues. I found myself in college a combination of those two things, overweight with self-esteem issues and a lot of drinking. In college, I then had to make a choice of what I wanted to do. I ended up studying to become a chemical dependency counselor. I've spent the past 9 years doing that, doing therapy for people dealing with addictions. And I discovered along the line, I'm basically telling people to lead a healthy and happy life. And I wasn't doing the same for me. I wasn't drinking, I was sober, but my addiction became food. Chocolate, potato chips, whatever, food. So I tried tons of different weight loss methods, different diets, different fitness programs, and I became a Facebook stalker. Bunch of different Beachbody coaches I would follow on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. I started following Corey because mutual friends had liked her things, and I just started following her. And then I reached out to her, I believe it was February last year. She had done a challenge group for couples. And I thought, hey, that doesn't sound so scary. I'll make my husband do it with me. So the two of us signed up. He maybe engaged about halfway, which is totally his style. I'm very much an extrovert, outgoing, talkative. My husband's very much an introvert, like, don't look at me. I'm just going to sit here by myself. So I engaged in that. I did several challenge groups with Corey. It wasn't until then, just December, that I was like, I want to be a coach because I want to have more of that accountability for myself. And I think I have the right skill set to help people because I've been doing that for 9 years in my job as a chemical dependency counselor. So that's kind of my story. In addition to that, I also have 3 little boys. They're 8, 5, and 3 years old. So I have all the crazy, busy mom, working mom stuff, and trying to be on my own journey of health and fitness and help others and fill that in with my crazy, busy life.
Wow, that is crazy busy. 8, 5, and 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've been there. It gets easier in some regards when they're 24, 20, and 17. but there's different challenges.
Right.
So what is your biggest challenge as a new Beachbody coach?
Time management. Making time every day to do those vital behaviors and really continue conversations I've started. Like I said, I am an extrovert, so starting conversations isn't hard, but just making the time to continue building that relationship and that part of it.
So following up.
Mm-hmm.
And do you build mostly on social media or around you?
Right now it's about half and half because I do work, so I have a lot of coworkers that I can talk to. But then I've also been connecting through Facebook with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. And then do you ask for referrals?
I haven't.
That's a good thing to add in, and Corey could teach you how to do that.
Okay.
Because really, it's something we kind of forget to tell coaches until they get to the point where they're like, I don't know who else to talk to. But if you do it right away and just get in the habit of asking for referrals, that'll just be part of your modus operandi. So So I know Corey teaches about power hours,
mm-hmm.
And working your business that way. Is there anything, and following up is just could be part of your power hour. And with 3 little boys, I know it's kind of tricky. I homeschooled while I built my business, so some days that worked, some days that didn't. But they've all turned out okay for the most part. So yeah, you have an amazing skill set. You've already, and you know, when I look at you all look about 20. So
I'll take that.
so, and it doesn't. Do you have any specific questions or any that you want help with your story?
I don't think so. I feel like, I don't know, I kind of took all that into account before I even took the jump to become a coach. I don't know. Yeah,
I think you're doing a good job. And following up, if you can just remember the fortunes in the follow-up. You've probably heard that phrase. And that is the thing that most people either subconsciously sabotage themselves and don't follow up because they don't want to hear a no.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times somebody has given me a business card or product sample or something, and they never followed up with me. And there were some things where I thought, man, I really like this. But then most of the time, somebody's not going to reach out back to you. I mean, it's just, I don't know why that is. If I absolutely have to have something, I will find the product or I'll find the person who gave it to me, right? Or the store or whatever. But most of the time, people won't take that step, you know? And so that's why in network marketing, and I suppose any kind of sales, any kind of business, whether it's a storefront or network marketing, the follow-up is one of your most crucial steps. And if you ever find yourself not doing it because inside there's this kind of little, well, I don't know, because what if they say no? I just don't want to hear no today, you know? There's a book called Go for No, Andrea Watts, Fenton and Watts, something like that. Really quick read. I bet it's an hour, maybe an hour to read the book. And it puts you in a completely different mindset of hearing a no, to where I had a coach read it, and then it flipped his mindset. And he was looking for people to tell him no, right? Because that's the way you get to yes. The more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes. And so he started tracking how many no's he was getting instead of how many yeses he was getting. It's really kind of fun. But most of us don't like to hear no. And so we won't take that step sometimes because we might hear it. So that's, you're doing, Corey knows how to teach that just better than anybody. So she's excellent at following up. So if you have any other questions, just let me know.
Okay.
Thank you. You're on the road.
Get
your vitals done and follow up and set your goals. The sky's the limit, ladies. And everybody, I'm not a power builder. I'm not, I'm not bigger than life. You see some coaches, you think, wow, no wonder they've succeeded. I'm not one of those people. I just kept showing up and doing what my upline told me to do eventually. Sometimes it took me a while. And there's still some things I still really don't enjoy. I really still don't enjoy following up, but I do it because that's just one of the keys. And if you just get really good at that and don't attach any outcome to the answer, you're just going to keep moving forward. It's going to be very exciting for you. There's a chat. There's the little chat thing is orange. Oh, I see. I thought, oh man, it's orange. See, anybody can do this. Oops. So Katie, anything else, Amanda? Oh, she always disappears when she does that.
Sorry.
Freaks me out. Is that it? Okay. Katie, you're up.
Oh, I couldn't figure out how to get my mute off for a second. So my story is, we grew up with a family who loved food. We were rewarded with food. If we did well at school, our parents took us out to eat. That was our reward. Going to the fair, it was all about getting the food. And So, we, food has always been a source of comfort for me. It's always been a source of reward for me. So, that's been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. And when I was in high school, my husband and I actually both were very athletic, so I didn't really have to worry about what I ate. And then we grew up, settled down, had kids, and that metabolism went away. And I tried every diet out there, like most people do. I tried fad diets, tried starving myself, tried eliminating things. My sister did the keto diet, lost a bunch of weight. I tried it for 2 days and was a raging, what, and couldn't do it. It just wasn't something restricting food just wasn't something that was in my brain to be able to do. So it was very hard for me. My weight went up and down and up and down. And I also, like Amanda, I have 3 sons. They're 11, 9, and 3. So, we're super busy with sports and school and just life in general. And actually, I met Corey because our sons played baseball together. And her and I just got chatting one day, and she kind of told me a little bit about what she did. And at the time, I was working at a bank and sat at a desk all day and thought, what, I was going to give it a try. So I signed up with her, I believe, as a discount coach just so I could get it cheaper, and never went any farther than that with it. Didn't stick to the programs, kind of like in my mind I knew I wouldn't. And her and I stayed friends and became closer, and I continued to follow her story on social media and different people that I met through her that were having success. And one day my mind just clicked and it all made sense. And I kind of re-upped my coach status and started really getting serious about it in November. And my husband and I both, I signed him up as a coach, and we've been doing since Thanksgiving, really committed ourselves to it, and we're now doing the 80-day obsession program together. And but for me, it's a mindset. It is my mind had to be in the right place. So that's kind of the story that I share with people. Is the ups and downs happen, and but it has to be something that you want to do. So I've had success on Facebook sharing that, but some of the things that I seem to struggle with is I am also an insurance agent. I own my own agency here in town, so I have a skill set of sales with that kind of mirror Beachbody, but at the same time are a lot different. And one of the things that Corey's been working with me on is patience, not having that instant gratification of a sale with Beachbody that I do sometimes in insurance. And so that's my learning curve is having the patience to wait people out.
Yeah, because insurance is one of those things we all have to have.
Yes.
So
yep.
Whether or not we want to buy it, we're going to have to buy it from somebody, right?
Right.
So that there's a good chance that somebody comes in your door. So yeah, it is different, because even though we all need to be healthy and fit, we all know that, right? There's no we all know that. So it's in our minds a lot of times. So as we've always got, we'll start tomorrow. We've got time. Usually, a lot of times, especially in our culture, it seems like it's not until there's some life-threatening or life-altering decision, or we run into somebody like Corey that has a story that we want to know more about, that we do something about it.
Right.
So I can see that. Because insurance is that way, just like buying a house. We all probably do that. So, okay, so it totally makes sense to me when you talked about the fad diets and the starvation and the keto diet. Anytime I go low carb at all, like the beginning of P90X or something, I know that I'm going to get grumpy because carbs are your brain food. I mean, we were created to need carbs, and it's just how
Right.
our brains work. So, yeah, you can really just warn your family. That's all I know. But having grown up where you're rewarded with food, and it's the comfort, then it's no surprise then that when you're on one of those starvation diets, or a fad diet or the keto or whatever, that it doesn't feel right? Because you grew up your whole life knowing that food made you feel good, right? You get a good report card, go have an ice cream cone, whatever.
Yep.
So that'd be that mindset. Now we do have a mindset program coming out, which is going to be really fantastic. But if you ever want to work through that a little deeper, I've been working on a certification for that, and I'd be glad to do that. Though the delayed gratification, right, is what you're asking about. And in network marketing, that's in all our other business when we were in it, that was one of the first things they taught us. Because unlike a job, where you get a job and you go train maybe for a couple of weeks, and then you start working, you get your first paycheck fairly soon. And it's a full paycheck, right? As soon as you've done a full job, a week's work, you get a full week's paycheck, right? Sometime, a week or two later, whatever. With network marketing, you end up doing a lot of work at the beginning for little or no pay, right? And you just feel like, man, this is the grind. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it. And you're going to have ups and downs, and it's not a paycheck. But if you keep at it long enough and you keep working on your personal development and you follow the vital behaviors, if you just do those and keep doing it really consistently, then eventually it flips to where you're putting a little bit of time for way more income, and then a little bit of time for way more income. And then you build this residual income so that you can go to Mexico for a week. And when you come home, you still got that paycheck and you didn't have to take a week off, right? Because that residual income has built up, and you've built a team of people doing the exact same thing that you're doing, and that builds volume. And that's the magic. That's the magic. But to get there, you've got to be willing to do that work up front and that delayed gratification, and know that it isn't instant. Now, a sale is instant, right? You can sell P90X and you get a commission. You can sell a challenge pack, you get a commission. That kind of thing is instant. But building a residual income takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. But if you have the dream to do that, if you have got something that's pulling you, and you do that, you can accomplish anything you want to. You can live any way you want. We aren't even talking about dreams tonight, but it's pretty fantastic what can happen when you write down what it is that you really want out of life. And time and money and your health and everything were all taken care of. Nothing else. You didn't have to worry about any of those things. Everything's just perfect, right? What would you do? What would you do with what would you do tomorrow if time and money and your health were all available to you, just whatever there was? That's a fun exercise to go through and to do it repeatedly. The other thing is to ask yourself, what would I do have, become, or give if time and money, health were all there? So those are important questions to ask yourself, because really, initially, as a Beachbody coach, as a network marketing professional, you are volunteering your time. It's an army of volunteers, right? And that's what it feels like. Oh man, I'm putting in so much time. So when you feel that way, look at what you're doing and talk to Corey and narrow down what you just really have to do. What are the vitals? You can build this business in a really short period of time, as long as you're really, really consistent. I had a coach who put in 2 hours a week. That is all. 2 hours a week, every single week. But he was always doing only income producing activity. He was always talking to people, talking and following up, talking and following up, talking and following up. And it pays for his Scottsdale, Arizona mortgage. And that's just fine with him. That's all the bigger he needed to build it for him. But if you've ever been to Scottsdale, Arizona, you know it's not peanuts. And it was just 2 hours a week, all he ever put in. But he did it consistently, day in, day out. And he only did income producing activity. He's barely on Facebook, even now. You know, he goes golfing with his buddies and he talks to them about Beachbody, or with his military friends, or whatever. So, but he had such a great belief in P90X and the Beachbody programs that it was always really easy to talk about. Really easy to talk about. So, anyway, I've talked too much. Does that help at all, Katie? Share your story, and then share parts of it, so that people ask you, tell me more. You want people to ask you, tell me more. It's like being in a store and you tell somebody a little bit and they keep you know, not the weird stalker, but they keep following you to ask you more. And that's what you want. You want to give people the sense that they want to know more about what this was. So you don't tell them, you know, we don't start with talking about product names. You know, if you're posting Shakeology all the time, then they think they know about it. So just post your shake, but don't put a name to it, right? That's just one thing, or your workout. I don't typically post workout videos at all. It's not my comfort zone. But I have a great big quilting machine out in my gym area. And so one day, and it requires a lot of monitoring. And so one day I have a stair stepper thing, you know, those little platforms. And I set one of those up there, and I did steps while I was watching my machine work. And it's computerized, so I program in the quilt pattern, and I push a button and it does its thing. It's really kind of exciting. But there's a lot of just watching. And so I did that, and I posted that on Instagram, just a random, you know, it's better than standing here, because quilters are generally not in very good shape as a whole, because we like to sit and sew. And I had so many comments on that, just that one little thing. And I didn't mention anything. I didn't mention that I also do P90X. I just mentioned, well, I've already done my workout for the day, you know, but I don't want to just stand here, something like that. With my shakes, I just show, if I show a shake, it's just, you know, I show the ingredients going in. And what you want is for them to ask you, well, what is that? Because then you can take it off into a message and ask them questions. So if they ask you, you show your shake and somebody says, well, what is that? And then you private message them and say, well, what is it that you want to know? And then you start asking about their journey and get to know them. And then when they keep asking you, say, well, this is a shake that I take every day, and here's what it's done for me. Well, what is it? You know, it's almost like being a kid where you just, what is it? What is it? What is it? You want that kind of, don't give it to them all, because as soon as you drop a name, a product of any kind, even when I mentioned the Walmart store, everybody assumed already, right? I mean, you just assume. So if I mention P90X, there might be an assumption that, oh, well, I can't do that. And they might not even ask if there's anything else in the catalog, right? If I mention Shakeology, they're gonna, if they've heard about it, or they had a neighbor that drank it, or whatever, they had a bad experience with a coach or something, they're gonna automatically assume. So you don't want them to automatically assume. They want them to get to know you, and you want to get to know them and find out what it is that makes them tick, and see if you do have a solution for them. You may or you may not. But that's a really good method to build your business, is to create that curiosity, so that they keep chasing you across the parking lot to find out more, you know. So there you have it. Corey, was there anything else?
I don't think so. That was awesome. I think it helped give some ideas, and some thoughts to breadcrumb and just kind of share different pieces of their stories, and definitely some good info on being patient and knowing that it's like you're going up an escalator that's going down is the analogy that I always liked. And once you get to the top, it's not that you don't have to keep working, but it just becomes so much easier. It's, you know, it's kind of a battle at first, and you are putting in a lot more time, but the reward will pay off. So
yeah, and expect ups and downs.
Yeah.
So people just expect it. It is a simple business, but it's not easy. A lot of times we try and make it sound like this is really the easiest thing you'll ever do, but rejection's not easy. It's not fun for anybody. But you will live through it. You know, there's all the, and the really cool thing is that you get to grow yourself. You get to grow yourself. Just a few of the things that you would think are totally unrelated to network marketing. I'm on our church's worship team now on several Sundays and over the last year. And that means standing up with a microphone and singing with a group, 4 or 5 of us, maybe 3. And I'm not a singer. I mean, I can sing. I was not a trained singer. I didn't go to school for that, right? But it was something I always wanted to do. But it was, you know, I finally just had the guts to say, hey, if you ever need somebody, I love to harmonize. I love to sing. And it's because of this, it's because of all the personal growth that I've done in this business that I even had the guts to get out of my own way and say, hey, I'd like to try this. I'd like to try this. And there have been so many other things. We'd have to do several calls on it that have been just incredible blessings for us, including Dave's pacemaker. He's only 56. I'm 52, 56. And last year his heart just quit working. I mean, just like, it's a long story, but we were out camping and it just quit working. You know, the whole electrical part quit firing correctly, and he hit and fell his head. I mean, fell and hit his head and cut it open. And about 15 hours later, when we went back to this little regional hospital, they discovered that his heart was plummeting. You know, it's just stopping. And they helicoptered us 3 hours over to a big hospital, and 12 hours later, he had a pacemaker, permanent pacemaker. And it was an exciting adrenaline experience. But he coded several times, and getting through that, I don't know if it's because I had no choices. You know, it's not like some ailments where they say, well, here's 1, 2, 3 choices. There was one choice: put in a pacemaker. Okay, so put it in. But I didn't have to worry about all the rest of it, including the helicopter bill, which came, and came 2 days later, and it was $64,000. Okay, so, and I looked at that, and I remember getting the bill and my neighbor he's a volunteer for the fire department. He said, do you know how much that helicopter bill is going to be? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm setting myself up for, I don't know, 15, 20. He said, think a little bit higher. I said, 30? He said, yeah, probably closer to 30. And then it came, and I opened it up, and I counted over from the decimal, 1, 2, 3. That can't be. $64,000, 64.5. And I thought, well, that, you know, sucks. So, but I also knew that it wasn't impossible to take care of because of this business. And it would have been 11 years ago, and we would have paid it off for the rest of our lives. Luckily, because I reached out to a friend of mine and said, hey, what do I do about this? And because we're self-insured. And so I contacted the Life Flight company and asked them, and I ended up getting a bill for $11,500 instead of $64,500. So that's a little hint to you guys. Don't take it for face value. They're going to charge you the highest they can. Then they wrote me back and said, well, this is the lowest allowable Medicaid price. And so then I was a little bit angry because I thought, okay, could have written a check and they would have never told me that really all they needed was 11.5. So, but all of those things, and it's just been a tremendous blessing, and those things you don't plan for, you know, and I hope you never have to experience something like that. But building your future, building an extra income with a network marketing company is one of the best things we've ever done, because I just don't panic when things like that happen. I'm able to stay calm and get through it because I know it's going to turn out okay, no matter what happens. And one of the things that just floored my family, there were 30 of them camping, and I went back with Dave to 5 hours away by car. We flew, chartered a flight. They all kept a couple of them wanted to go with me, you know, to make sure I had a car. And I said, you don't know. I said, you don't understand. I've got a network of people. I will have no problem getting a ride from the hospital to home. And it's true. It's true. And that's just part of this. I've built a tremendous network of friends anywhere I go. It's just incredible. It's an incredible blessing. And I want you all to know what that's like. I want you to go on free trips with Corey that the company gives you, and see what that's like. They treat you like kings and queens. Beachbody, I mean, it's just phenomenal the way they treat you. Is Corey, you've been on one, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unlike any other company we had been with, how they treat you. And with the first trip we went on, we were in a 5-star resort, you know, and everything paid for. It's like, in Hawaii, what? You know, nothing like we'd ever seen before. So that's I didn't mean to go on that long tangent. I just want to encourage you to build to consider this as your plan B. Build a plan B and build it big and do whatever you want with it. You're also young. You know, the world's your oyster. And if you can dream about what your life could be like, if it's not exactly the way you want it now and you want it different, and you can dream that, you can get there. I absolutely believe that. And the things that I have written down in the past that have come true, I don't look at that list anymore and think, oh, wow, that happened. In fact, I'm kind of afraid to write some things down because then I know it's going to happen. So anyway, that can be for another call. I am doing a vision board workshop again at the end of the month, Corey, and you're invited. You can invite your team. We've had some fantastic results from that. And I look forward to talking with you ladies another time.
Thank you so much for your time. That was awesome, Anne. We appreciate you as always.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Good night.